What is going on, guys? Seed here with another episode of Nostalgia Blast. I think we're gonna title it Nostalgia Blast / 5-minute boss battles because I think this particular video can intersect into both of those realms because it technically is a long play and it is also a really short long play because it's like it can literally constitute as like a little over a 5-minute boss battle. But guys, we're digressing. Guys, we are jumping into Galaga. Guys, I picked up back this game on the PlayStation Network. It's the PlayStation 4 version of the obvious arcade game Galaga. Came out in 1981. It's in the series. It's the sequel to Galaxian. Guys, it's one of the arcade classics, right? From the 80s, right? One of the big arcade classics, right? So there's Galaxian and Galaga. There's Pac-Man, Donkey Kong. All of those games constitute as some of like the murderer's row in terms of like arcade games, right? Some of the more serious arcade games back from the 80s, the 70s, the 80s, the late 70s, the 80s, the 90s, right? No, 80s, late 80s, right? So yeah, without digressing too much, Galaga, I had this game on the Atari, right? Okay, so this is kind of dating me in a way that I don't really technically feel like I need to be dated, right? Because I am still in my 30s, right? But here's the backstory behind this game, right? This, and similarly to Pac-Man and all of the games that you can find on the Atari. If you're wondering, this guy's still pretty young. Why is this like a nostalgia-esque episode for him, right? Well, my father, he used to fix these consoles. That was his job, right? Back in our own country, back in Guyana, back in the day, right? So before we moved up to America, right? He used to actually fix consoles, right? He was like one of the few people that did, right? Because he had his like degrees like outside of South America, right? And he lived in Canada for a while. And growing up, right? I think I mentioned this in like previous episodes, right? But growing up, anytime he would end up fixing a console, right? Even if we didn't own it, right? Because they were pretty scarce, right? Like I grew up on the NES, right? But the Ataris would just like come in the house every once in a while, right? And you would end up playing the games, right? We'd just test them out and play them, right? And Pac-Man, definitely. There's a couple that's probably slipping my head right now, but Galaga is definitely one of them, right? So yeah, guys, that dates me a little, but not too much, right? But I am of the NES era, the Sega Genesis era, like anything late 80s, early 90s, right? But obviously this is 1981, right? So Galaga, I was reintroduced to it, right? Like I was like fairly young when I first played it, but then I was reintroduced to it with the Namco Museum, right? For the PlayStation, right? That set of CDs, right? The Namco Museum Volumes 1. I think there's a couple of volumes, right? So, yeah, guys. So Galaga is like one of like the staples, right? When I'm feeling like real retro vibes, when I'm feeling like I want to like get up in the morning and like, you know, like I kind of like revisit an era from. Yeah, definitely, yeah. It's making a lot of sense when I'm saying it right out loud, right? Yeah. When I want to revisit like a certain time period in my life, man, put on these arcade classics, call it a day, right? Jeez, you're here for the vibes, if not anything else, right? So, this game is dumb hard, guys. It's not hard, right? You gotta learn patterns, right? So it's a lot of like pattern learning, right? And the shooting, right? You're kind of like locked to like 2 shots at a time, right? And there's the rapid fire, which is a square on the PlayStation, and the single shot, which is the X, right? So there's still a significant time delay between the shots, and you have to really time your enemies, right? Time their movements, time their patterns. There's a lot of pattern recognition, right? So like I said, I think I stated this in one of the other 5-minute boss battles videos, right? Not the Nostalgia Blast. Nostalgia Blast technically long play videos, right? So this is, but this is like one of the. We're getting off topic, and we're both on topic and off topic, guys. Games like this, right? I've mentioned it in previous episodes. Games like this, right, back in the arcade, like that are strictly arcade based, they're designed to steal your coins, right? So everything revolves around you getting the highest score possible. So earlier today, my score was like 40,350, right? And it's like after like, that was like literally after I bought the game, but the game gets really hard, really fast, right? When you start hitting that 40,000 on the scoreboard, right? The enemies kind of like jump at you, right? It's like something like when you're older and you're trying to like revisit, right, the game, and you know, certain things about the AI, it's just like it catches you off guard, right? Because they'll like kamikaze you. I'm not joking. They'll kamikaze you, even if you're like trying to like hide out in the corner, right? They're literally aiming for you, right? The AI well, yeah. You see, like you barely miss them there, but they will literally go to the ends, right? With the missile fire and everything, right? And even their own ship, right? And just like, bam, just blast you, right? So you can't really use that as a tactic, right, as you progress through the stages. So it kind of sucks, right? You gotta strafe like your life depends on it. You gotta move side to side all the time, right? And you gotta pump down the coffee. You gotta like pump down some coffee when you're playing this game, right? It seems like it's like a, you know, and there you go, right? I got kamikaze just now, right? And that kind of like irked me to no end, right? Because I'm like, look, I'm hitting the 40,000 mark and I'm feeling good, and bam, got kamikazed again, right? And I literally beat my score by that much more, right? So 40,790 is the new top score, right? I think I want to do one of those like comedic things where you just like write like a subliminal message through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? That would be cool. But guys, have you played Galaga? Have you played retro games recently? But guys, this was like super fun, right? It's something to take yourself off of the seriousness of other video games that are throughout the year. But guys, we're coming to the end of this video. Peace, love, all the blessings to you and yours. Sid out. Cheers. Guys, one love, guys. Take care.